The lights above the school auditorium flickered as students filed into their seats, excited for the annual talent show. Parents whispered in the crowd, teachers smiled politely, and backstage, performers rehearsed their routines one last time. Among the group of colorful, glitter-covered students was a girl who didn't look like she belonged. Her name was Zara Malik. Zara wasn't dressed in a sequin dress or flashy makeup. She wore an old maroon shirt, frayed jeans, and shoes that had clearly been repaired more than once. Her guitar, slung across her back in a scratched black case, had belonged to her late mother. While the other students whispered encouragement to their friends, no one stood beside Zara. She sat alone, eyes fixed on the floor, listening to the sounds around her. Zara's father, Mr. Malik, had worked at the school as a janitor for nearly 10 years. Everyone knew him, the quiet man with kind eyes who mopped the halls and fixed broken lockers. They also knew about his daughter, but only in passing. To most students, she was the janitor's girl, someone not quite one of them. She was a shadow, easy to ignore, easy to mock. Whispers started the moment Zara's name appeared on the performance list. Some students laughed, others rolled their eyes. "She's actually performing. I thought she was just helping clean up afterward. Maybe she's here to tune someone else's guitar. I heard she lives in the janitor's closet." The laughter stung, but Zara was used to it. What she wasn't used to was performing. She had never sung on stage before. Her audience had always been one, her father. After her mother died in an accident 5 years ago, the guitar became her refuge. Late at night, while her father slept after long shifts, she would quietly strum the strings and sing songs she wrote about grief, love, and dreams that didn't seem meant for girls like her. Now, she was minutes away from playing one of those songs to a full auditorium. Backstage, her father gently approached her, still in his work uniform, holding a damp rag he'd been using to wipe down chairs earlier. He saw her trembling fingers and knelt beside her. "You don't need to prove anything to anyone," he said softly. "Just sing your truth, that's all. You've already made me proud." Zara looked into his tired eyes and nodded. "Amma," she whispered. Her name was called. As she stepped onto the stage, a wave of murmurs rolled through the crowd. Some students snickered. A few took out their phones, expecting a performance they could laugh about later. The spotlight hit her, and she blinked into the brightness. She walked slowly to the center, placed her guitar on her lap, and sat down on the stool. She didn't look up. She closed her eyes and remembered her mother's voice, the way she used to hum while cooking, the gentle songs she would sing while brushing Zara's hair. The memories steadied her hands. She strummed the first chord. It was soft, so soft it barely registered at first, but the note hung in the air like a breath held too long. Then came the second chord, and the third. Each one stronger, deeper, filled with emotion. Then she began to sing. Her voice wasn't trained. It wasn't powerful in the technical sense, but it was real, honest, raw. It carried the weight of every lonely night, every moment she had been ignored, every tear she never let fall in front of others. The lyrics told a story of loss, of struggle, of dreams buried and unearthed again. The words painted a picture. They said the girl with calloused hands could never touch the sky. They laughed at dirt beneath her nails and never asked her why. The audience fell silent. All the whispers, all the jokes, they vanished. The principal leaned forward. Teachers exchanged glances. Students who had been texting stopped mid-message. Her voice, once drowned in silence, now filled every corner of the hall. She sang about her mother, about watching her father scrub floors so she could go to school. She sang about how music gave her hope when the world gave her nothing else. Every word came from a place so deep, so painfully honest, it cut through pride and privilege like a knife. When she sang the final note, her voice cracked, but she didn't stop. She let it ring, imperfect and human. She opened her eyes slowly, blinking at the stunned crowd. Then the auditorium erupted. It began with a few claps, then more. Then the entire room rose to their feet, a standing ovation. Applause echoed through the hall like thunder. People were crying, cheering. Some students who had mocked her earlier stood motionless, mouths slightly open, unsure of what had just happened. Zara stood up, bowed her head slightly, and walked off stage, heart pounding. Not with fear, but release. Backstage, everything was quiet. No one dared speak first. Then someone clapped slowly. Sarah Khan, the student council president, one of the very people who had laughed at Zara only an hour before. She walked toward her. That was beautiful. I'm sorry. I had no idea. Zara gave a small smile. You don't have to know someone to be kind. Her father pulled her into a hug. He didn't say a word. His silence was filled with pride and awe. Later that evening, someone uploaded her performance online with the caption, "Janitor's daughter silences everyone with one song." Within hours, it was shared across social media platforms. By morning, it had gone viral. Thousands of people watched it, some moved to tears, others inspired. Zara received messages from all over the country. People told her how her song made them feel seen, how they too had felt invisible, how she had given them hope. Among the viewers was a well-known music producer based in Lahore, Ms. Laila Saeed, who ran a foundation for underprivileged artists. She reached out to the school, asking to meet Zara. "I've been in this industry for 20 years, she said when they finally met. "And rarely do I hear a voice that isn't just talented, but true, you've got both. I'd like to offer you a scholarship at my music institute." Zara stared at her in disbelief. Her father blinked, unsure if he had heard correctly. "Me?" Zara asked. "Yes, you, but only if you promise to keep singing like no one's watching." The scholarship changed everything. For the first time, Zara had access to instruments, mentors, and opportunities she never dreamed of. But she never forgot where she came from. She carried her old guitar with her everywhere, a reminder of why she started. She wrote new songs, inspired by her journey. Her music wasn't polished in the way industry voices often are, but it was full of meaning. Listeners connected with her, not just because of her voice, but because of her story. At 19, she released her first album, Dust and Dreams. It topped indie charts, not for its production, but for its soul. At her first concert, a packed crowd waited in silence as she walked on stage. And sitting in the front row, in the same uniform he wore when he used to clean the school halls, was her father. She took the mic and said, "Many people tried to silence me, not with words, but with doubt. But my father told me something when I was little. He said, even if the world forgets your name, sing it into the sky." That's what I did. She sang the same song that silenced the school auditorium years before. But this time, she didn't sing it in fear. She sang it as someone who knew her voice mattered. By the final note, thousands in the crowd stood applauding, cheering. She had arrived, not in spite of who she was, but because of it. Years later, when Zara was interviewed on national TV, the host asked, "If you could go back to that school stage, what would you say to your younger self?" She paused, smiled gently, and replied, "I'd say, don't hide who you are to fit in. Shine so bright they can't ignore you." Moral of the story, never judge a person by their background or the uniform their parent wears. True greatness often comes from the quietest corners. Respect, kindness, and understanding cost nothing, but they have the power to change lives. Everyone deserves a chance to be heard, and sometimes the ones we ignore are the ones who hold the most beautiful stories within them.